My dad drafted me last year in his fantasy football league, and I think he actually got second in his league. To hear him and how excited he was about the whole thing, it was awesome.
That is awesome.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ekeler's Edge. I'm Liz Loza, and this is, of course, Chargers running back, fantasy football superstar, and a man that some call PFP for pound, but we just call him Austin Ekeler.
Thanks, Liz. I cannot wait to dive into the juicy content that we have jam-packed for this episode. It's going to be epic.
And yes, my man with the game ball, congratulations to you.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Take those to heart, right?
Absolutely. Well, we got a great show for everybody watching. We'll talk about the rise of the rookie quarterback, examine the validity of several surprise fantasy studs, and talk the Chargers' huge win that I just alluded to over the Raiders on Monday Night Football and their upcoming showdown against the Browns with, wait for it, Austin's real-life QB1, Justin Herbert. Everyone is talking about these rookie quarterbacks, so let's dig into the 5 that were selected in the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft. Austin, over the first 3 weeks of the regular season, it was mostly a struggle for Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. Jones was the only quarterback to earn a dub through 3 weeks. However, in week 4, Wilson and Fields notched their first wins, and the other 3 played pretty well too. So as someone who worked closely with a young signal caller last year, I ask you, which rookie quarterback has the highest upside for the rest of the season?
Yeah. And before we get into that, I just realized now, even just seeing these rookie quarterbacks struggle this year, just how special Justin Herbert was last year, in his rookie year. I think, I'm seeing a lot of similar traits that, just show up in rookies that even I saw in Jay Herbert, just the decision-making, just time, presence, just understanding the game. It's a lot that goes into this game, especially at the quarterback level. That's why they get paid so much, because there's so much that rides on their shoulders. The best thing that they could do is show progression, because that's what it comes down to, especially the quarterback spot. And as far as upside, fantasy-wise, who has the best chance? As far as weapons, as far as team, San Francisco, just my team around me can actually put a product on the field that can win games. And then you put Trey Lance in there as well, who obviously showed that he can run, definitely has a lot of athletic ability, can bring a lot of upside. I think he's going to have that potential as well, just to play make, and also has some weapons around him that can catch the ball, make plays.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of really important things. Number one, that practice makes improvement, not necessarily perfection, right? And you've got Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Mac Jones who've had more practice at the position, but Trey Lance and Justin Fields have that electric mobility that, at least for fantasy purposes, translates into more points. And at the end of the day, sometimes this is a game about math. So I think over the course of the season, when you look at the weapons, you look at the system, you look at the different scenarios that he's going to be in, and just the skill set, Trey Lance absolutely has the highest upside through the course of the fall and winter. Last week on Make Your Pick, I think it was me that took Tyreek Hill over Stephon Diggs. But hey, both players came to life for fantasy managers, so there's no losers here.
No, there definitely is a loser when Tyreek, puts up 186 and, 3 touchdowns. That's an amazing day. Stephon Diggs had 14 yards. It's still a solid day. Didn't have a touchdown though. But yeah, there was definitely a good but amazing. So I'll give that one to you. Good pick.
Well, thank you very much. But hey, it's a new week, so we can start with some new picks. We can start fresh. And this week, we're going to change the game a little bit. I'll give you a surprising fantasy stud through 4 weeks of the season, and you tell me if you believe his production will continue or if the early success has been make-believe.
All right, let's do it.
Let's start with the Falcons' Cordarelle Patterson. He is a running back. He's a wide receiver. I don't really know which he is, but we don't care in fantasy because he has that dual eligibility.
Right.
We do know that he has a total of 354 yards and 5 touchdowns, 3 of which came last Sunday against Washington. So are you believing in Patterson, or is this all make-believe?
Hey, I'll say this. Those are some real numbers right there. Those are no joke numbers. That's scoring some points. I had his special teams coach here with the Chargers, and Coach Stu loved him just because his physicality, the way he ran the ball, the way he returned. He called him the Anaconda. Always kind of been that gadget guy where he's used in jet sweeps. He's used in some running back spots where he's running some routes out of the backfield. And so just from the pass, I feel like how he's been used, I'm going to say it's make-believe until he can put a consistent season together, which, like I said, props to him if he can, but right now I'm going to say make-believe.
I mean, you called him the Anaconda. Well, the Anaconda don't want none unless you score points, son. And definitely, I couldn't resist. Definitely Cordarelle Patterson has been doing that. And you know what? I think that if we're looking at week 5 versus the Jets, a defense that's giving up a bunch of long receptions, and you mentioned his speed, then he can do that in week 5. But I agree. I just don't think that this is sustainable over the long haul of the season. I mean, once Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts and Matt Ryan start to get into a little better of a rhythm with Arthur Smith, then you'll see less of these gadget plays schemed up for Cordarelle Patterson, and some of that production will start to trail off.
I'd agree.
Now let's move to a veteran wide receiver. It's AJ Green. He leads the undefeated Cardinals with 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. Austin, do you believe in AJ Green, or is this make-believe?
Hey, the Cardinals right now, they got a good thing going. I feel like Kyler's going to get the ball to a lot of people. Just how mobile he is, the way he's able to make plays with his feet, keep plays alive. I just love quarterbacks that can run around. I hate going against them, but like, it gives me juice because you can continue to have plays down the field. So I think this is real. I'm believing in AJ Green. And he's on one of my fantasy teams, so I might be a little biased.
Yo, but I understand this, and I completely agree with you. I think everybody saw AJ Green struggling through injuries in Cincinnati. They all said he was washed, but he is the number 2 receiver in terms of snaps in Arizona. Like you mentioned, like that's an offense I want to invest in. They're absolutely lit. He has recorded 6 targets in every single game. So that kind of consistent volume on that offense, and I am 100% believing. Let's talk now about a tight end in Buffalo. It's Dawson Knox. He's got 4 touchdowns, and he's tied with Rob Gronkowski for the most in the league by a tight end. Are you believing in Knox, or do you think this might be make-believe?
Yeah, talk about another explosive offense, too. They just put up 40. Like, any offense in the league, you put up 40, hey, that's a good day. You got some playmakers over there, and they definitely do. But something about tight ends is they're always going to show up in the red zone. Yeah, I think he's going to be a real threat for Josh Allen in these final weeks to come, so I'm believing.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I mean, I had Dawson Knox on my weekly sleepers piece heading into week 4. And listen, in week 5, do I think he can continue this production? Absolutely. The Bills are playing the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a projected point total of 56. So do I want to invest in a tight end that, again, is tied to Josh Allen, like you mentioned, to this offense that loves to pass the ball? Yeah, and in a high-scoring matchup, 100%. Plus, Kansas City has allowed the 4th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. I am believing in Dawson. We're now joined by the reigning Offensive Rookie of the Year and Austin's quarterback, Justin Herbert. Thanks for being here, Justin.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming through after the big one.
Of course, Zach. Anything for you.
That's my guy. The backfield buddies. You see that? The backfield relationship right there.
Yeah, well, you said it was a big one, and you're right. I mean, what an impressive win, 28-14 over the previously undefeated Raiders. Justin, you've won 5 straight starts against AFC West teams and have thrown 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. How you been able to have that type of success?
I think it's a great plan going into the week and having a great week of practice. And I think the guys around us are able to make plays. And when you rush the ball for 120 yards like Eck does, especially having Mike Williams, Jared Cook, Keenan Allen, all those guys on the outside, it makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah, hey, I'll add that big old line too. Gotta love those guys up front, man. Especially Cord up there running the show.
Yeah.
Our offense right now, we're all over the place as far as talent, and it's showing.
Justin, what about number 3-0 right here? 145 total yards, 2 total touchdowns in the win over the Raiders, making not only you, your teammates, and the Chargers fans happy, but all of the fantasy managers who played Austin in week 4. What does this guy mean to your team? I mean, I know what he means to ours.
He knows it. He knows how special he is, and just the way he changes our offense is huge for us, and the way he's able to catch the ball out of the backfield, the way how hard he runs the ball. You know, whenever you hand the ball off to him, he's going to fight for at least 4 or 5 yards. And to have a guy like that in the backfield, it changes our offense. And to add him alongside all the weapons that we have at receiver, I really believe in this offense.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you, though. Appreciate you. If we could stay with this group right now and continue to stay healthy and stay on it, we're going to definitely be putting up some points, and it's going to be a fun ride.
I like seeing Austin blush a little bit. This is fun. All right. It doesn't get any easier for you guys next week. You face the 3-1 Browns at SoFi. Cleveland gives up the second fewest yards per game in the league, and they're tied for the most sacks in the league with 14. How do you slow down the Browns pass rush? Myles Garrett's been a beast.
They've got a really good defense, and they're really well coached, and they've got some athletic guys on that side of the ball. So it's going to take an entire week of preparation to give ourselves a chance on Sunday. And like you said, they've got an incredible pass rush. So we're going to have a good protection plan going into the week. And going to have to count on the backs to step up and do some pass protection. So, I've believed in those guys, and they've done a great job so far. So it's just going to be on us this week.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the Washington week. We were worried about the same thing, and we came in with a plan to stop the rush. Stop the rush, and then, we get the ball out of Justin's hands, and then get the playmakers making plays. And so it'll be the same thing this week.
Obviously, both of you, and frankly, the entire Chargers offense has been a hype machine for fantasy footballers. Justin, can you tell us a fantasy football story? Maybe someone who came up to you and either threw shade, but more likely said thanks for being such a baller?
Yeah, actually a funny story. My dad drafted me last year in his fantasy football league. And, I really wasn't expected to play at all last year. And so it was kind of a really late draft pick. And then I ended up playing and he ended up starting me. And I think he actually got second in his league. So he went pretty far, but just to be a part of his team was pretty cool. And to hear him and how excited he was about the whole thing, it was awesome.
That is awesome. Hey, shout out to your dad, man, for having faith in his boy, man. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That's some family right there. That's some love.
Thank you so much for joining us, Justin. Good luck against the Browns and continued success throughout the season. And please take care of our man, Austin.
That's easy. He does that himself.
Appreciate you, Justin. Thanks, brother.
Yep, appreciate you guys.
I think this episode was as full of points as your week 4 stat line for fantasy managers. And thank you, Justin Herbert, for coming on the show.
Yeah, shout out to my backfield buddy. Oh, and I want to give a quick shout out to Rainn Wilson, who said he traded me away and overpaid for me. How'd you like the week 4, man? I know you got me on one of your teams, but hey, you could have had me a little double dose of Ekeler's edge.
What a way to respond, Austin. I love it. Fantasy managers love it. That is going to do it for this edition of Ekeler's Edge. Stay tuned. Good luck and have a great week.
Appreciate you guys. Good luck in fantasy.